Hi guys, welcome back to another one of our YouTube videos here in the west coast of Ireland, our Irish country life. Today I'm going to show you a little bit of the new pond in the garden which I started 5 years ago, and I call it the reflective pond. It's not a clear water pond, it's so that you can see the reflection of the beautiful canopy of the trees in the pond. So I'll guide you through a little bit about what's around the pond. So on the ground here, covering the lovely slate stones, we have the Lismachia creeping jenny. We have Formium, we have Heuchera, we also have some Angelica, which has seeded itself from different places. The beautiful alliums are coming up. We have Persicaria, which is in flower at the moment. We have some azaleas. We have a beautiful globe woodlia, which is kind of taken over. It needs some trimming back, I think. And we have a beautiful thistle here. This thistle, which the name has still left me, and I will find out the name of it for you, is a fantastic plant, and we divide it and we divide it and we divide it, and we put it into different parts of the garden. I don't know if you can see in the pond, the fish are all coming up to have a little nibble on the food, which Scooter's not very happy about. So they're all feeding at the moment, and we'll take a wander back this direction. We have a beautiful maple tree, an Acer maple. It's a stunning colour and it looks lovely and healthy this year, which I'm very pleased about. Last year it had lots of spots on it, I don't know why, but it seems to have rectified itself this year. So over here we have the beautiful wedding cake tree, which is in full bloom at the moment, and it's really, really stunning. It's a viburnum. And then next to that we have this, which is, what's the name of this, Chris? Oh yeah, Libertia. And this has beautiful white flowers, which are almost orchid-like, and it's really beautiful. I planted 3 of them together, I think 2 years ago, and they really have, or 3 years ago maybe, and they really have taken off. And I just love the fact that they're white, and then the viburnum wedding cake tree is white also. The story behind this viburnum wedding cake tree, my friend in Screen, she gave me a piece about this size, so literally about 2 foot, and she said to me, just stick it in the ground and see what happens. So I literally stuck it in the ground, and this is what's happened. And 4 years later, it's 4 times bigger than the main plant that she had in her garden. So she's terribly envious of that, and she often snarls at me when she comes to visit. So down here, I'm just going to show you the beautiful candelabra primulas, which are growing down here. We have another Cornus cusa, and this is called Cherokee Florida. And these are the candelabra primulas. We have some lovely yellow ones growing in there. And this is a little river garden that I created because we had lots of overhanging trees here, and it was just very wet, and I really didn't know what to do. So I created a little false stream. So I thought when it rains, it fills with water and it looks like it's natural. And here we have some beautiful candelabra primulas. And you can just see they're coming into flower now. And they're really lovely. Last year they got very tall and very big, and everybody who came to visit the garden was wondering what I was giving them to eat or drink because they were so tall, but actually nothing. I think it's just the soil and the aspect that they like. Here we have a lovely Thalectrum, and that's just come into flower, and that's really pretty, and it just sort of bounces in the wind, and we've got some lovely yellow irises coming here. This magnificent magnolia tree I planted about 15 or 16 years ago. It was very small, and as you can see, it really has taken off. It's finished flowering. It was absolutely stunning in April. It was full of these beautiful cup tulip-shaped flowers in a delicious pink. It's really, really, really beautiful. I had to cut quite a lot away because it was growing onto the ground here, but it's doing very well. It obviously likes where it is. And here we have another display of the candelabra primulas. These ones are the darker pink ones, the fuchsia pink, and they look really, really lovely. And I'm hoping that in the next couple of years it will fill out this whole space of candelabra primulas. We have another Libertia, which I put last year, and it's only just got 1 stem of flowers, but still it's looking well. And some of the yellow candelabra primulas are here. Here we have a beautiful white rhododendron. White with a very, very subtle pink through it. And this was 3 rhododendrons I planted together to create the impact that we see today. It's just going over now. It's almost finished flowering, but this one actually flowers again later on. One of my very sad casualties this year is my beautiful Aspera sargentinea tree hydrangea. It has literally died. I don't know whether it was the frost killed it or what happened to it. It was always very gnarly looking from when I put it in, but I just loved it. I loved the shape, and I loved the fact that it just had the beautiful flowers on the top, the lace cap flowers. So moving forward, here we have a lovely Solomon seal. You can see, again, it's just about to go over, but there are still some flowers on there. This is a truly magnificent plant. A friend of mine gave me this, actually. I was out one day and I came back to find a small pot sitting on the front porch with this in. I planted it and it's done super well. It loves where it is. I have taken cuttings and planted it other places, but it doesn't seem to like those places. So we'll keep it here. This is my other casualty. Remember I mentioned to you in the last video that we had a crinodendron that died. This was a beautiful red one, and it literally is just bone dry and dead. I don't know what happened. Here we have a collection of beautiful bug hotels, and I have a new one which I'm going to be adding to this, which you will see later on. That my nephew made in his woodworking class, and it's really lovely. It's quite a big one, so I'll have to do a little bit of maneuvering around. And here we have a lovely birdhouse made from driftwood, made by a local craftsman in the local craft market. And I went through a stage of loving these, and my sister used to buy me one every year for my birthday and one for Christmas. So I have a few collected. They're around the trees and in the courtyard as well, which we'll show you again another day. So just a nice collection of insect hotels. And it's funny because I've placed them here, and then I have the bird feeder here. And the birds, I often see them flying from here and ending up over here trying to get whatever little insects have decided to stay, probably paid a fortune to stay, and they get eaten. But that's life. Now we were in the section which I called the rose walk, and that's simply because I'm not very good with roses, I never was, but I decided if I put them here, because we get quite a bit of sun here, that they might do quite well. So we've got some lovely Peruvian lily, Astromeria here, we've got some peony roses here, we've got a lovely rose bush here, the Dublin rose, and we've got a selection of other ones going along here. So far so good, fingers crossed they seem to be doing okay. And here we have a selection of geraniums which seem to like it here. A nice persicaria, another batch of monkshood. This one is a blue and white one, which flowers much later, August. Some more Aquilegias, Granny's bonnet. Beautiful flower this one has. And a couple more rose bushes. And this is a really nice rose called Super Trooper, which has lovely orange flowers. Here along the left-hand side we have Crocosmia, and the Crocosmia flowers quite late, but when it flowers and it has the beautiful orange flowers, it's absolutely stunning. So I decided that to mimic that earlier on in the year, I would plant ballerina tulips through it, so to get the orange come up through the Crocosmia, because the Crocosmia leaf on itself, although it's quite nice, it's very boring. So that's worked really well, and I think next year I'll add probably another 150 tulip bulbs to that to get that to be more vibrant. And the alliums are starting to come as well. I have Scooter on the lead because Harold the pheasant is out again today and it's driving Scooter nuts. So he's really winding him up. So if I keep him on the lead, then he's with me. He's not barking over there. Here we have another buddleia. This is again an orange one, but it's not the globe buddleia. Here we have a little man-made fence, and this was built purely to keep the rugosa rose, otherwise known as the dog rose, back, as it can be quite prickly, but it's really beautiful, and we love the scent from the flowers and that. So this man-made fence here just keeps the rugosa rose on that side so that nobody walking past gets injured. And I've just spotted a beautiful little orange geum down there, which I planted. Here we have the pergola. And around the pergola we have some different clematises, and we also have some alliums, and we earlier on had tulips. And this is where we will sit and we will have some scones. I'm going to make some lovely fruit scones later. Simple, quick, easy, foolproof scones for you. and I hope everybody will try, and then we'll come later on and we'll sit and we'll have tea and scones. Best part of the day. Isn't that right, Scooter? So you guys, after a lovely day in the garden and all that planting, a nice cup of tea, and now I'm going to show you how to make these beautiful scones that are literally 4 ingredients. They are easy, easy peasy. And the reason why I like these scones as opposed to the normal recipe scones is because there's no rubbing involved. And not only that, I find the other scones are delicious, of course, but you cannot use them the next day. They are like rocks the next day, no matter what you store them in. And even if you heat them up, they're still not as nice. These are more of a dough, bread-like scone, and actually they're really yummy the next morning if you have them with just butter and jam on for breakfast. And they will last for 3 days in an airtight container, no problem at all. And like I said, they're super easy to make, and you will have no trouble with them at all. So, what we have ingredients-wise is we have 450 grams of self-raising flour which has been sieved. We also have 250 milliliters of double cream, 250 milliliters of 7-Up, or any lemonade of your choice. I have chosen 7-Up. Not the diet 7-Up, the sugar-free 7-Up, because you need the sugar, so it's the normal 7-Up. And then I have just put literally a handful and a half of sultanas in a bowl. So that's it. And an egg and a little bit of milk for egg washing the top of the scones to give them a nice golden color when they're in the oven. So your 4 ingredients, your flour, your sultanas, your cream, and your 7-Up. So we're going to start. We've already sieved our flour into the bowl. And now we're going to add, just a knife, we're going to add our 7-Up. And we're literally just going to make a well in the center, and we're going to add the 7-Up in there. You can see it's starting to foam up, and that's the acid in the 7-Up acting with the flour. Now I'm assuming, and don't quote me on this because I'm not 100% sure, but I'm assuming the cream acts in the same way as the butter, because obviously butter is what's left after we whip cream to a certain point. So rather than having to take the butter back to the consistency of fine breadcrumbs, the cream is already in that state before it was made into butter. But enough science, I don't want to bore you. And you're literally mixing this, you're just bringing it together. There is no kneading or heavy rolling or anything like that involved. You literally just want to bring all of those ingredients together in the bowl. It may look a little bit dry to start with, but I promise you it won't. And if you really do feel it is a little bit dry, add a tiny drop of milk. But be careful, because if you make the mixture too wet, they will fall over in the oven. They won't keep their shape. Now into that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to add the sultanas. And if you don't like sultanas, you can leave them out. If you want cheese scones, you fancy cheese, you can grate some cheddar cheese or any kind of cheese, and you can add that in at this stage. Cheese scones I often make, they're very nice as well, especially if you're having like a bowl of vegetable soup. It's lovely to have a nice cheese scone to accompany it. Or a cheese scone for a ploughman's is very nice. So now I've brought that together. I'm literally going to take it out of the bowl. I've come in from the garden, so I have the apron on and the hands have been washed, so you don't need to worry. And just turn that out onto your board, like so. And a very, very light bringing it together is all you want. Not too much pressure, not too much knocking out of the air, because I think the 7-Up has created the air. Now once we form it into our bowl, I'm not even going to use a rolling pin for this, I'm just going to use my hands. So once we've rolled it out into our bowl, we're going to flatten it out with our hands. Keep the shape in a nice circle. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of flour into this bowl, and that's purely just to dip our cutter, our scone cutter, in there. And just dredge your scone cutter with the flour. Very important, when you're cutting your scones, you do not push down and twist. You literally push down and pull back up. That's what you want from your scone. Yeah? So there's no twisting involved. Because if you twist, what you're doing is you're stealing all the edges of the scone, and when it's trying to rise, you're stopping it from rising. So literally just pop your cutter down and lift, and pop your scone out from underneath. We've got 11 and we've got a baby one for this baby down here. He's sleeping away but knows they're coming, because we had a talk earlier about all the barking that was going on whilst filming. So we're going to make him a little treat because he's promised to behave. So that's Scooter's little scone. Now what we're going to do is we're literally going to egg wash the top. So our beaten egg with a little bit of milk and just over the top of the surface. Again, don't brush down the sides of the scone because the egg will actually stop the scones from rising also. And I've just got a plain baking tray with a sheet of greaseproof paper, and that's purely to stop them from sticking to the tray. But if you have a non-stick tray, you can just lightly flour it, and that will work also if you don't have any baking paper or greaseproof paper. Now folks, how easy was that? Literally less than 5 minutes to make 11 delicious scones. Well, 12, one small one for Scooter. We'll put a little bit of egg wash on Scooter's as well, it'll do him no harm. Now they're ready, you can do what you like. You can sprinkle a little bit of sugar on the top. You can do whatever. If you've made cheese scones, you can always put a little bit of grated cheese on top, or Parmesan cheese, or anything like that. But for now, we're going to leave them just as they are, plain and simple. And now I'm going to pop them into the aga for about 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes. We'll keep an eye on them. Okay, you guys, so the 10-minute timer went off, and I checked the scones, but I didn't feel they were ready. They weren't golden enough on top, so I decided to leave them in for another 7 minutes. So all in all, 17 minutes they have been. So they look lovely now, so I'm just going to take them out. Just be careful because the tray is very hot, and we will just pop them down on there, and then we need to take them off and we need to put them onto a cooling rack so that they cool with the air circulating underneath as well. If you leave them on the tray, they'll steam and then they'll have soggy bottoms, and you don't want a soggy bottom scone. They look absolutely delicious, and they're a lovely colour underneath as well, so you can see. So there we are, and that's the one Scooter's been waiting for. Lots of cream and jam. That's what makes them scones. Now for that all-important dollop of lovely thick whipped cream. Now it's time to have these delicious scones with lots of jam and cream and a nice cup of tea. We hope you've enjoyed today's video, and if you like what you see, join the club and like and subscribe, and lots more videos to follow in our amazing garden that my nephew called the jungle the other day, which does quite resemble a jungle, kind of what I set out to do. So from me and Chris, and of course Scooter, who's just eaten his scone, we'd like to say bye-bye until next time. Take care. Bye.
See you again.
Now, Scooter, you've had scone as well. You're not getting my scone. It's for me. Oh, lovely cup of tea.
Scooter, don't forget to look at the camera.
It's got to say, I'm king.
Scooter, Scooter, look at me.
You have to call him out.
Nice piece of chicken. Yeah, chicken, yeah. How come you know what that is? Chicken.